Hello there and thanks for watching my video today. My name's Chris Wheeler and I'm a technical specialist at Microsoft, here today to show you some cool things we can do with Power Apps, Microsoft Bookings, Power Automate and a bit of Exchange Mail flow rules for the icing on the cake. What I've done effectively is create a Lightroom booking solution that you can use with the productivity suite you get with Microsoft 365. It requires a bit of customization, but that allows a nicer user experience when navigating around to book a room. I started with a Canvas app within Power Apps, which is in its simplicity a navigation tool where I can visually represent buildings and floors relevant to my organisation. I chose my local council as an example image to which I can then begin to select a floor. In doing so, it then takes me to a Microsoft Bookings page where only the room accounts for that floor are visible, meaning that I can get to the rooms quickly. Within Exchange Online, we can utilise PowerShell scripts for creating buildings and floor plans, which works really well within Outlook Room Finder and hopefully in the not too distant future Microsoft Places. But going back to my original statement, I've created this concept as more of a visual aid which can have different effects and outcomes for the audience, especially as I'm creating this as more of a touch interface as opposed to point and click to what we see more within Outlook. Once I'm in Microsoft Bookings, I can select the service I want, and in this case I've put either 1 or 2 hours, and I've also put a conference room booking option which I'll explain more in a second. One of the first things I want to point out is the difference between a Teams meeting booking and a normal room booking. A normal room booking still uses a calendar invite and it will appear on the meeting room devices, but you will see one option I've selected has the join button, meaning we can then utilize the MTR to deliver an exceptional meeting room experience. It also works extremely well on a Teams panel, which of course is a device fitted outside the meeting room to give availability and options for manual room reservations. You'll notice the green and red indicators to show if a room is free or not, with the meeting details also on the screen. Going back to the conference rooms, I've been asked a lot by customers if it can support split rooms, and the answer is yes. What I've done here is create a service that includes 3 separate rooms. We have a setting in Microsoft Bookings that will allow a user to book all 3 rooms in one go, but only if all 3 are available. For example, I might go and book room 1 at 11 AM, and then when I go to the conference room option, you will see although rooms 2 and 3 are available, room 1 isn't, so it won't give me the 11 AM option. Furthermore, with this more complex room booking option, we have the ability to set buffer times, which will help in getting the room set up. I remember trying to put split doors up myself, and sometimes you need a bit of time just to make sure they're all locked in place. We can also set customized questions to ask. This is important as sometimes we need to know beforehand if there's any food required along with dietary options, accessibility to be sorted, assistance for the day, if the room needs to be laid out in a specific way, for example. We can allow these questions and also control if they're mandatory or optional. And a quick stop here, you do get reporting available to export to Excel, so you can keep an eye on how many bookings get made through the platform, with all details on who booked and the answers to those custom questions. Now, out of the box, this offers some decent foundational requirements, but sometimes it's just not enough, so we need to get creative. I've brought in a few controls using Power Automate and Exchange Online. What if I offer this as a public-facing URL? How can I guarantee that whoever's booking the room is authorized? I may have an email list or domain whitelist that I may want to enforce. If this is just internal though, we can set it that when the Microsoft 365 users are logged in, it will authenticate them, but I'm noticing that there are more scenarios of shared spaces and also for non-tenanted users to see room availability. So what I've done is set a Power Automate trigger that whenever a booking has been made and the scheduling mailbox has created the event, it will check that the body of the content has the authorized domain within. This will be present because of the information captured by bookings. If it contains the allowed domain, do nothing, as in keep the booking. If not, it will simply delete the event from the scheduling mailbox, which will in turn delete the calendar invite from the resource account or the room, which you can see happening right now. This will then free up the space for an authorized user to make a booking at that same time for the room at a later attempt. Whilst this is being done, I've also created an Exchange Online mail flow rule which only applies to the scheduling mailbox, and this will basically send the requester an email back notifying them that they are not authorized and their attempt has been unsuccessful. You can create any message you want from here. I've had one customer recently looking into building a Microsoft Forms link for the requester to apply for access, which is, I think, a fantastic way to control new signups. Another possible change we can make is if we want to call the meeting something else from the original booking. Now in Microsoft Bookings, whatever the service is called, it will appear on the calendar invite, but it will also capture the name of the user who's requesting the service for better visibility. What I've done here is I've created a custom question in Microsoft Bookings that will ask what the user wants to name the meeting. Then, within Power Automate, it will grab that field and I can then update the calendar invite to have the string mentioned in the questions as the subject, but keeping everything else in place such as times and recipients. You can see when I've done this, the calendar event changes quite quickly, which should then reflect on any Teams meeting room devices or any Teams panels that I've shown earlier. Hopefully, this should inspire some of you to look at building your own apps or scripts using the Power Platform. I know I've certainly only scratched the surface, but how it enhances the Teams meeting room experience is just phenomenal, and it does address a few different niche requirements that goes above and beyond a traditional Outlook invite, especially even if Outlook's not being used at all. But any queries around this, or if you'd like to see this in action, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn and I'll be happy to help. Until then, thanks for watching and take care.